A picture is worth 1,000 words. We explain in 60 seconds.
This is the W2 Report with Sanji Homura. Here's Sanji.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the W2 Report. Even the barrels have a price, the turkey show. I am your host, Sanji Homura. Today, we are joined by Lord Squirrel, who will go over the ground rules.
Rule number 1, be not the dick. Rule number 2, please refer to rule number 1.
All right. Before we introduce the rest of the panel, first, we have a little business to deal with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have breaking news, because breaking news does change everything here at the W2 Report. But first, let's go over a little history lesson. The Herbologist was a Kickstarter project that was started by Silicon Echo Studios, and it was funded to the tune of $10,523 back in September 5th, 2017. Now, we wouldn't have this random Kickstarter for no good reason. This Kickstarter provided the front money for these people to push out not one, not two, but 173 games onto the Steam storefront.
Most of which, a large number of these actually wound up making it through the greenlight process. There was coverage of it at the time, but that coverage is not currently available. Hopefully that changes here soon. But there is, it was a lot. It was recently discovered that they'd gone someplace else.
And that's correct. They went to the Epic Game Store, where they are currently pushing 11 games from their collection onto the Epic storefront.
But that is that is a story that will be told a little later.
Yes, especially Tim Sweeney's reaction to the whole story.
Ooh, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a couple of days.
Yes. But first, let's go over to Billy Mitchell.
Next, we're going over to Billy Mitchell.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Billy.
Yep.
Billy's a whole pile of
Because Billy Mitchell recently released pictures of his world record attempt of Donkey Kong at the Florida Mortgage Brokers. And right off the bat, you could tell what's wrong with this picture. Aside from the referee and the in charge of the record. Can anybody identify what's wrong with this picture?
That doesn't look like the right joystick for Donkey Kong.
Oh,
for original cabinets.
Ding, ding, ding! Let's give Lord Squirrel a prize. And
Lord Squirrel thought I had to deal with those things before.
What is so special about this joystick is that on an unmodified Donkey Kong joystick, which you can see on the right, it only goes 4 ways: up, down, left, and right. Billy Mitchell's joystick, on the other hand, goes 8. It also goes diagonal.
Yep.
Now, why is that a bad thing?
Because you're supposed to be doing this on an unmodified machine for starts, or at least one that's equivalent.
Nope.
And that's
yeah. It's unmodified hardware.
Except that damn joystick, which makes it modified hardware and therefore invalid.
That is correct, sir. Now,
because that's a modern arcade. That looks like a modern arcade stick.
Yep, and that is a modified hardware choice.
Yep.
But before we proceed any further, let us introduce the rest of the panel. Mr. Lindgren, welcome back to the W2 Report.
Special uninvited guest snuck in through the back door.
And of course, our third man in the ring, Mr. Thomas.
It's at this point that Sanji realized he had not introduced the other co-hosts.
The rest of the panel. And now, the rest of the panel. There we go. I like it.
And last but least, the other guys.
Now, unmodified hardware was easy to detect. But what got this joystick in Billy Mitchell's trouble? What got Billy Mitchell in trouble with that joystick? Aside from what we previously discussed. Well, he got faced with a deposition from Twin Galaxies lawyers. Which that lawsuit is still ongoing.
Yeah, it has been for, I don't even fucking know how long now.
About a year and a half.
Oh, this is a newer one then. Because I know the one that was originally the one that originally got filed, I don't think that ever had a resolution either.
Well,
I don't think
Billy Mitchell sued David Pace, the Donkey Kong forums, and Twin Galaxies, all for invalidating his world record. Because they found out he was playing on Maine.
Yeah, that would be by definition modified hardware. As in, none of the original hardware was used. There are rules here, and you need to follow them, Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah, playing on an emulator is also a bannable offense for game records.
Yes, it is. Mr. Mitchell got banned, had his world record from Guinness stripped, etc., because there was no actual certification board because there was no other certification boards that would like give Mitchell the time of day after that. It was defamation. It was blah, 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 blah. The only thing that Billy Mitchell has done in his life that was worth anything was that. And yeah, they took it away from him because he didn't do it, because he did it wrong. Or excuse me, he didn't do it correctly.
Right.
And don't think for 2 seconds that any emulator is perfect. It's not.
No.
There will always be some sort of a tell in there to determine whether or not it's going to be emulated. Some are very, very, very accurate. You can almost pull it off, but none of them will actually do it quite the right way. Because there is not the original hardware. These emulators, by their nature, are essentially clean roomed. You try and get the thing to do the thing it would do if it was the real hardware. Only the code you're using is not the original hardware, and it can't be.
Yeah, for
How does this
for the
handle that?
yeah, for uninitiated, for like the difference between emulators and the original hardware, the original Space Invaders, it got faster because of the hardware limitations. As enemies died, it would free up more memory for the aliens to move faster, which is why the last one got so quick. And so if you're using an emulator on modern machinery, you've got a machine that can already run it at maximum speed, so you have to tweak things to get that same effect.
Well, the same was true of almost every game from that era. Actually, of any era up to probably the PS3, which can be reasonably well emulated, but you're still going to find you're even the best emulator at this point, which you could look up for yourself, will have glitches and other such things. There are a great many emulators for other machines going all the way back into prehistory.
Well, the complications with emulating like Xbox and 360 and PS3 is that you also have to dig up the files for the operating system.
Yeah, that's true of more recent machines, but not some of the older ones. And in fact,
it's like for Super Nintendo, that's just you're trying your best to copy just hardware and assembly operations.
Well, you also have Nintendo also put lockout chips in, which is why when you're when the little slot in when the little pinout in the old Nintendo Entertainment Systems got wiggly loose, they needed to be locked back down again. You could put your cartridge in and you could put an actual cartridge in, push it down all nice and snug, and you'd still have to twiddle with it to get it to stop flashing. That's what that was. That's just kind of a fun little factoid. The Xbox, the original Xbox, in fact, it didn't wind up being emulatable until after the 360 released. And after that, Microsoft really just didn't care. They still can't do it very well. The Xbox 360, they've got that one. The PlayStation 3 is mostly okay. And then we've even got some emulators for the PS4, and I hear there's one working for the Xbox One, but I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen that one in the wild. The PlayStation 4, though, the one that is actually working somewhat, is only on Linux and will not be ported to PC unless somebody else does it. And it's closed source, so that could be a while.
Yeah, it would also require games to be worth playing from the PS4 era.
There were some games that were worth playing on the PS. Mind you, most of the really, really good ones have already have been making their way to PC in recent years. So,
Well, Bloodborne, but that's it. That's the only last one we need.
Well, Billy Mitchell, go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, emulation is a thing, and the emulators themselves can be had in a number of places. It's the games that you have to be careful of, because if you get unless you have a game actually on a disc or a cartridge, well, actually more the disc-based games, because the cartridges are, well, you have to find a way to get an adapter hook into your PC anyway. By that time, you're already dealing in the appropriate hardware, so you want to just go with the original. But the disc-based games you can actually play on a lot of disc-based games all the way up to the PlayStation 2 and 3. You can actually put in your very own Blu-ray DVD drive if you have one on your machine, and I don't know why you wouldn't. You can run them right off those discs with some of these, with most of the emulators. Otherwise, you have to deal in ROMs, and that is a gray area depending on just how litigious the original company is.
Yeah. So Billy Boy Mitchell here, was subject to a 6-hour deposition by Twin Galaxies attorneys.
Oh, buddy.
Only 6 hours? I hear they got Alex Jones in for like 2 weeks worth of it. 12-hour days.
Yeah. And the video was put online as a matter of public record. And then Billy Boy Mitchell had a bright idea. He used copyright to take down something that was a matter of public record.
Oh, you're talking about the deposition or his play on Donkey Kong for several hours.
The paperwork.
I was talking about the deposition.
Oh, okay. Because the video of him playing it should also be somewhere on the public record, or should be somewhere on the interwebs.
Well, a video of him playing should exist.
Well, video of him playing does exist. The question, of course, is how do we get our hands on it? And that's where it all goes weird.
Yeah. And not only that, Guinness World Records decided to do damage control on behalf of Billy Mitchell.
Yeah, this is a recent thing.
This was a recent thing as of the end of July. Because Guinness World Records manually detected this copyright abuse, and I use abuse in quotation marks here, and decided to take it down anyway. Mr. Jobs here got a copyright strike. Now, as typical as the copyright uses are, thumbnails, on the other hand, is a gray area that I don't want to pretend that I have knowledge of. But Jobs managed to get the copyright strike released, but he removed the logos from all of his thumbnails anyway. Now, why would Carl Jobs not want to piss off Guinness when they deserve every bit of this?
Because Guinness Book of World Records has lawyers. They have lots of them. Not as many as Microsoft mine, but they still have quite a few.
Well, Carl Jobs, he really aims to please, and he's not really much of an aggressive person.
That sounds like a personal problem.
That's his first mistake.
But the more you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Remember, kids, learning is a war crime. So go wild in Yugoslavia.
No. Badland. Bad land. Very bad land. Don't do that.
Now we have a couple of announcements to make before we close out the show today. One is if you take a look at the description down below, you'll find that we have a new ending theme, which we will debut this week.
Sometime.
Second of all, is next week. Next week we may have an off week. It'll depend. I want to contribute some time to a research project, and I'm not saying that it is or is not Zonitron Productions. Yes, Patty, just a couple. There's two. Zonitron Productions may be on the table for a research project today. I wanted to since 2017 there's been new techniques in research, and I want to see how far off our research is from 2017 to today using today's techniques. Now, also, okay, Patty was right. I lied. Also, in a couple of weeks, we oh boy, new math. Also, in a couple of weeks, we will debut a new opening for the W2 report. So, stay tuned for that. And
do we have a theme for the middle of the podcast or no?
No, we do not, and we don't want one.
Intermission.
We're not long.
Taco Bell.
No. We don't. We're not long enough, or something like that.
Well, it is cold outside.
Yeah, no, it's not. Just because you live in Iowa doesn't mean it's cold all the time.
No, we saved that for Minnesota.
Ooh. You're trying to make Minnesota your bitch?
What?
Well, don't you know? It's always snowing up here, even in July.
Yeah, well, it's currently August. Rawr.
Yeah, we're just getting the snow melted. Then we'll have a picnic, and maybe Lena and Oli will bring over some hot dishes to pass, and maybe we'll have some hot dogs.
Oh. Anyway, until the next time we see you, beware. The tax man cometh.
Literally, 'cause if he's not worth anything, then what?
Hello, folks. This is Morgan Freeman. This concludes our broadcast day. I'm Morgan Freeman. Good night.